Hey, welcome back to another episode of Practical Cybersecurity Workshop for SME Leaders. Today we're covering risk assessment, what it's for and how to do it. But before we proceed, make sure you have already watched the previous episodes about asset management. This is an essential step prior to risk assessment. So, cybersecurity is a risk-based industry. Everything you do or are going to do in the realm of cybersecurity relates to a certain risk, which is always applied to an asset. This is why a list of assets should already be prepared in front of you. Risk assessment could be a challenging research, as well as it could be a simple brainstorming session on possible threats which might influence your business processes. Either way, it would be a good start. Essentially, a simplified definition of risk assessment activity would be to map each of the assets with a possible applicable risk. Reality is that it's not so easy to do it by yourself for the first time. There are so many specific types of technical threats that it could be a bit of a challenging exercise. On the other hand, if you don't have access to experienced CISO or CISO at hand, you can try to outline the key fears related to cyber threats by offloading what's in your head in a form that's applicable to an asset. In other words, make a list of asset to threat entries. With a second iteration, it's better to do like an expert would do it. This requires some reading. Experts know that there are dedicated frameworks which describe in details on how to make a risk assessment for information cybersecurity. The most popular are ISO 27002 and NIST RMF. Surely, they are much wider than risk assessment itself and cover all activities of risk management, so you might spend some time on getting along with it. But the most interesting part of these docs for us at this stage is a list of risk examples or threat events. NIST RMF is a library of helpful documents and guidelines which come under the number of 800-something. Particular interest for us today is in NIST RMF 800-30, which is called Guide for Conducting Risk Assessments. This document offers a number of pages with threat examples which could inspire you or which you could use as is. It all depends on your technical understanding of the terms and specific of the proposed threat. Some of them you would understand easily, and for some of them you might need some time or you bypass it for now. Either way, your brain would start working in the right direction, building a mindset of a cybersecurity expert. Keep in mind that just like the criticality of an asset, which you should have indicated during the asset inventory stage, and let's say it's 1 for non-critical and 2 for a critical asset, the threat has a likelihood or probability, which would be hard to indicate, at least in the beginning. What you could do is to Google for relevant statistics, try to be more specific, say how many phishing emails have been sent in my industry last year. This could bring you a clue on how probable this potential event is for your organization. You could also rely on your gut feeling. It's fine as long as you plan to show the final risk assessment to an expert who could indicate the obvious uncertainties in your exercise. The impact is how big damage it would make to your organization if the risk would happen. Whenever you create a pair of an asset and a threat, you would need to score the resulting risk, so you would know how important it is to mitigate immediately. I suggest going simple now, and the easiest way to come up with the relevant number for risk severity is to have likelihood multiplied on impact. So you have an asset with a criticality parameter, you've got a threat with the likelihood and its impact. Multiply all those together, and the bigger number you get, the more important it is to start caring about this risk now. If you didn't rank the criticality of an asset, don't worry. You could at least multiply the likelihood and the impact, and you should get something like this eventually. Congratulations! Your first qualitative risk analysis is done. If you want to go further, consider adding a new layer of complexity, making a quantitative risk analysis. The objective is to provide a numerical estimate of the overall risk effect on the business. The financial equivalent of the numerical estimate is the most informative. It could bring so much light on the security goals, necessary budget, and overall understanding that you are doing good or bad. Quantitative analysis is not mandatory, especially for smaller businesses, but helps to orient what is more important. So, risk analysis is an irreplaceable tool for wise decision-making throughout the whole cycle of cybersecurity efforts you would be taking, and provides obvious benefits such as enhances the communication and decision-making process related to information security, helps to identify gaps in information security measures and determine the next steps, helps to identify the impact and prepare for the changes in the business environment, improves the quality of security policies and procedures, could help to design more affordable and cost-effective methods of information security policies and procedures implementation, simplifies the employee awareness dissemination, risk, security measures, risk analysis process, impact of potential security risks, etc. With risk assessment done, your cybersecurity journey becomes tailored to your organization needs and values. You become much more aware to proceed to the next steps. With the risk assessment stage done, you become much more aware of cyber risks targeting your business and get prepared to implement relevant security measures. See you in the next episode.